I'm tired but cannot seem to get rid of this sensation nearing midnight. Perhaps jotting everything down will help. Let's call my sister, 28F, Elena, 33F. Though we are not biologically related, she lived with us for 13 years, ever since she was a small child. Her aunt and godmother, Mom, brought her in when her own mother died. We never truly clicked, even as young children. I always assumed we would grow out of it, that it was simply normal sibling stuff. Really, I get along perfectly with my younger sister, Clara, 27F, but Elena has always made things distinctive. She appeared to have this victim attitude constantly, as the planet owed her something. Part 2. Things grew somewhat strange after Mom died in 2020. Elena really felt she ought to be inheriting Mom's engagement diamond. The entitlement was unreal. Mom wasn't her own mother, just a woman who helped raise her, she said practically at the burial. I returned to my boyhood house following Mom's death. Dad was lost without her, and I couldn't handle the idea of him prowling that large area all by himself. For me, I turned the upper level into a small flat. Elena started grumbling right away about not having enough room for her Christmas visit. We did it, though. Part 3. A little forward, Dad paid off the house at last. He chose to hand me the deed to sign. It made sense. I would be in charge of the taxes and upkeep while I had been helping him with the mortgage. I was also the one living there looking after him. He may live there rent-free for the remainder of his life. Agreed upon. Officially mine, the house became my target for modifications. I converted the third-floor apartment I pulled down back into a 5-bedroom house. All right, so 2 of those bedrooms developed into a dog room and a walk-in closet. Sue me. I also remodeled the kitchen, added a pool, and converted the basement into a hip bar and lounge. My house was mine, and I was personalizing it. Fourth part. Next arrived the bombshell. Elena inquired about our plans for dividing the house sale. I was stunned. Sell it? I'm not selling. She claimed that because Dad paid it off, it belonged to all of us equally, and we should just sell it and split the money. I told her straight out, I own the house. I'm not selling it, and you're not getting any money. She then threatened to sue me. I advised her to leave. Fifth part. She called Dad a few weeks later to inquire about Christmas plans. Dad assured her I wouldn't be lodging in a motel, and she was welcome to come stay with us. Bless his heart. I had to gently tell him Elena's family, or herself, were not welcome. He could grab a hotel room if he wanted to spend the holidays with her. Now she's on this smear campaign, telling the entire family how horrible I am for doing this over the holidays. Most of them are actually supporting her, while some are staying out of it. The rest are stating I should just give her the money, as she has had a difficult life, and I am being callous. Sixth part. I'm beginning to question if they are accurate. Is my tone too severe? Elena has had a difficult childhood. She lost her mother, and her dad never was around. But does that really qualify her to come to my house? I helped Dad pay for it, moved in with him to assist him, and he handed it to me. It's mine. And to be honest, I wanted her nowhere near me after she threatened to sue me. I don't want that type of tension, especially during holidays. Seventh part. Update. Last weekend was the family wedding. Actually, it was free from drama. I stayed away from Elena, and no one started a scene. But then on Sunday, my Aunt Renee called to find out whether I was attending an early Christmas dinner, since Elena was in town and wouldn't be celebrating the real holiday. I said graciously no. I told her I would send the gifts from the kids with Dad, but given Elena's reaction, I was not about to act as though everything was fine. Then my aunt said, I'd be upset too if you refused to give me my share but gave Clara hers. Wait, what? Elena has been telling everyone I live with Clara and split the house. That's ridiculous. Division 8. I corrected the record with my aunt. Aunt Renee was startled when Dad backed me up. Elena had lied not just about me splitting the house with Clara, but also about Dad never giving her anything. He handed me the house. Clara took over his company, and Elena got a large sum of money to start her own bakery. Renee is utterly deceived. Although Elena has infuriated both Mom and Dad, they still believe I should simply forgive and go on. Not without public apologies, I informed them. I'm not holding my breath. Renee is going to see Elena before she returns to Idaho. Part 9. I'm not sure what will transpire. Elena might apologize. Maybe she won't. She might still try to sue me nevertheless. But you know, I'm not stressing about it anymore. I am going to appreciate my house. Along with my sister and Dad, I will be celebrating the holidays. I will also be blocking all the bad. Elena chose. Now she has to live with it. Being back in my childhood house felt weird, but this time it was just Dad and me. The house appeared so much larger without Mom's laughing filling the halls. I missed her absolutely. Trying to carve myself a personal space while yet being there for Dad, I put up my tiny nest on the top floor. It wasn't straightforward. Without Mom, he was lost. I was helping him while negotiating my own loss. Then Elena gave a call. She wanted to know how I could be so self-serving, occupying the entire top level. She shouted, "Where will I stay when I come home for Christmas?" I said we could work things out, even though I had made the place an apartment for myself. Not as though the property lacked bedrooms. Still, that was not the worst of things. Of all the venues, Elena dared to claim Mom's engagement ring during her burial. "It's only right," she continued, even after stating just moments before that Mom wasn't her real mother, just a woman who helped raise her. The hypocrisy stung, especially with the loss still raw. Still, I kept my tongue still. An argument was not appropriate for the time or venue. Still, I knew then that Elena would never be the same. She had a possessiveness about her, and an entitlement that I found incomprehensible. She seemed to be attempting to assert her rights to a bit of Mom, a piece of our family, that she was due. Time appeared to run alongside me like a river. Like the years themselves, the seasons changed. Leaves went from green to gold, and ultimately dropped away. Dad was getting older. His smile seemed a little more tired, and his gait a little slower. But what counted was, he was still here. Dad phoned me into his study one day. He looked like someone who meant something significant was about to happen. He said that he had at last paid off the house. Relief flooded over me. No more mortgage payments. No more anxiety about losing the location where we had created many memories. Then he said something rather unexpected. "I'm signing the deed over to you." His voice strong but full of love. "Now it's yours." I felt overtaken. This house, where Mom's soul still lingered, where I had grown up, was mine. It seemed like a holy trust, a weight I was eager to bear. Dad said he wanted to live rent-free for the rest of his days, and I reassured him it was quite reasonable. Like he had taken care of me, it was my job to look after him. Once the house was formally in my name, I became quite active. It was time to own it, to respect the past while welcoming the future. On the third level of my temporary residence, I tore down the walls to create room and let light flow in. 2 of the bedrooms were turned into a comfortable hideaway for my cherished pets, and a large walk-in closet where I could at last arrange my life. The adjustments did not stop there. In the backyard, I included a glittering pool to cool off on hot summer days and make fresh memories with loved ones. The old kitchen was gutted and rebuilt with contemporary appliances and shining counters, and the gloomy, dusty cellar. It turned into a lively bar and lounge space ideal for late-night story sharing and getting together with loved ones. The home was waking once more, breathing with the fresh vitality that reflected my own. It was my legacy, my haven where I could at last lay roots and start a life full of love and happiness. I owned the house, not only a house but a dwelling with roots and memories. It stood for my independence and evidence of my diligence and effort. Still, my sister Elena cast a shadow over it, a gloomy cloud hovering above. Her threats to sue me, her attempts to control Dad, her relentless entitlement, all too much. She seemed to be trying to take something from me, something that rightly belonged to me, and I couldn't get rid of that sensation. A few weeks after the house became formally mine, Elena called once more one day. Her voice was oozing with disdain, her words poisoned. "So, sister dear," she said, "I hear you've got a new toy. A big, beautiful house, all to yourself, huh?" My blood was heating right then, keeping my voice cool. "Yes, Elena," I said. "The house is mine. Dad signed it over to me." She snipped. "Oh, did he now? Funny, I didn't know he had that kind of money. Did you buy it from him? Or did he just give it to you?" I had not intended to play her game. "It's not about the money, Elena," I said with great conviction. "Dad wanted to see to it I was taken care of. He wanted to start me well in life." She snorted. "A good start. You're already living in a mansion, while I'm stuck in a small apartment. You're so lucky, you know." "Luck has nothing to do with it," I said. "I worked hard for this house. I helped Dad pay off the mortgage. I took care of him, and now he's given it to me. It's mine, and you have no right to it." Elena's face reddened with resentment. "You're such a selfish bitch," she yelled. "You don't care about anybody else. All you care about is yourself." Closing my eyes, I tried to cool off my wrath. "I care about Dad," I murmured softly. "I care about Clara. And even though you make it difficult, Elena, she laughed once more, her voice replete with scorn. Spare me the pity act. You're just trying to make yourself look good. But I see you for what you are. A spoiled, ungrateful brat who thinks she's better than everyone else. It was intolerable at last. Rising in voice. Elena, I'm done with this, I said. You're always trying to start trouble. You're always trying to make me feel guilty. Well, I'm not gonna play your games anymore. This is my house, and I'm gonna do what I want with it. If you don't like it, you can leave. I hung the phone and slapped it down on the receiver. My hands were shaking, and my heart was thumping. Though I knew I had to, Elena had never been spoken to like this before. I couldn't let her get away with it anymore. She was pushing me too far. Elena's and my relationship changed from that point on as well. She never stopped trying to get her way, but I was not ready to give up. Having absorbed my lesson, I was resolved to defend myself. I was going to let her know the house was mine. Like a winter storm, the holidays arrived with a mix of excitement and anxiety. I delighted in the festive attitude, the glittering lights, and the get-togethers with loved ones. But this year, there was a cold in the air, a tension I could not overlook. Elena still harbored resentment regarding the house. Trying to guilt Dad into sharing it with her, she had phoned him. Dad, bless his heart, he fell right in the midst. He valued my choice even though he wanted everyone to be happy. He understood the house belonged properly to me, and he wouldn't want me to sell it under pressure. Dad mentioned Elena's visit one evening, as we were adorning the Christmas tree. His voice shaky, he replied, "She's planning to come for Christmas. She wants to know whether her family could fit here." I inhaled deeply, trying to keep cool. Dad, I love you, and I want you to be happy, but I can't have Elena and her family stay here, not after everything has happened. Dad's expression sank. But it is Christmas, he begged. Families should be together at this time. I know, Dad, I answered softly. But Elena has made it plain that she doesn't consider me family. She's threatened to sue me, she's spread lies about me, and she's always trying to undermine me. I can't welcome her into my home after all that. Dad snorted. I understand, he responded, his voice weighed with disappointment. But I can't just tell her she's not welcome. What am I supposed to do? I gave it some thought. Tell her I'm not comfortable having her stay here, I said. Tell her you can get a hotel room if you want to spend Christmas with her. Dad turned to face me, his eyes dark. I don't want to stay in a hotel, he murmured softly. I want Christmas to be home. I stretched forward and grabbed his hand. I know, Dad, I answered quietly. And you will be. You'll be here with Clara and me. We'll have a great Christmas. Just the three of us. Dad gripped my hand and started to smile faintly. He said, "Thank you. You are loved." "I love you too, Dad," I said, my heart full of both grief and resolve. Though it stung to watch Dad so let down, I knew I was acting morally. One day Elena would perhaps come to see the suffering she was causing and atone. I would guard my house and family until then, and treasure the time I spent with those people who really loved me. Elena's comments weighed down on me like a thick blanket of snow, smothering the seasonal delight. Her claims rang in my head, each one a sharp icicle cutting my heart. Was I really acting in selfish ways? Should I have denied her a seat at our Christmas dinner? The calm times and the serenity of the winter evenings brought comfort. I meandered around the snow-covered forest behind our house, the sound of every footfall reminding me of life's frailty. With their snow-laden limbs and securely anchored roots, the tall and stately trees stood. Having gone through several hurricanes, their fortitude was evident. I yearned for that same resilience, that same unflinching self. Though Elena's comments had sown uncertainty in my mind, I knew I had done nothing illegal. Was I overly critical? Was my judgment compromised by my anger? I considered all the times Elena had mistreated me, and all the times she had tried to claim what was really mine. She had always been envious and bitter of the love and encouragement our parents gave me. She had never been ready to acknowledge that I stayed with Dad and looked after him after Mom died. She was now trying to take away my house, the place I felt at last protected and secure. I wouldn't let her try to poison the holidays, turning my family against me. I would not let her jealousy and resentment ruin the peace I had discovered. I would not apologize for defending myself. I would not apologize for defending my family and house. I wouldn't apologize for being who I was. Elena had decided what she wanted. She had decided on wrath and hatred rather than love and pardon. She had decided to be an outsider, stranger to her own family, and not mine, but her load to carry was that. Her negativity would not pull me down. I would pay especially attention to the affection all around me, the coziness of my house, and the seasonal delight. I would let go of the grief and resentment Elena had brought about and celebrate Christmas with people who really cared for me. The silence of the winter woods and the resiliency of the old trees would provide my strength. Standing strong and proud, my roots securely anchored in the ground, love and thanks filling my heart. Elena's shadow would not dim my soul. I would welcome the light, let it lead me across the tempest. With the first snowfall of winter covering the planet in a perfect white, it was a period of calm beauty for introspection and rejuvenation. The holidays arrived, and along with them, the yearly family wedding. This year Sarah, my cousin, was scheduled to walk down the aisle. The wedding celebrated love and commitment, a happy event. I watched Sarah, brilliant in her white gown, say vows to her adored. Laughter and music permeated the air, and for a split second, Elena's negative shadow seemed to vanish. Still, the break was fleeting. My Aunt Renee came over to me as the event drew to an end, her expression clearly worried, her voice tinged with a little reproach. "Are you coming to Christmas dinner this year?" she questioned. I nodded deliberately, slowly. "I plan to, Aunt Renee. Dad and Clara will be there, and I wouldn't miss it for the planet." Renee scrunched her brow. "But Elena will be there too," she continued, her voice lowering to a whisper. "She is not staying for Christmas Day, thus we are celebrating early." Anxiety surged over me. "I understand," I murmured, trying to keep my cool. "But I'm not sure I'm ready to face Elena again, not following all that's happened." Renee's eyes went wide with surprise. "Still," she insisted, "but she's family. You cannot merely ignore her forever." "She's the one who's been ignoring me," I said, frustratedly raising my voice. "She's the one who's been lying and trying to turn everyone against me." Renee sighed, her voice softening. I know, she said, "but she's had a hard life. You should try to be understanding." "I have tried," I responded with emotional tremor in my voice. "But she wants my house, my inheritance, my life. She's never been happy for me, never supported me. Her only actions have been trying to take what's mine." Renee's visage softened. "I didn't realize it was that bad," she added softly. "But surely you can set aside one evening for the benefit of the family." I hesitated, divided between my wrath at Elena and my need for peace. "I'll think about it," my voice tired at last, "but I am unable to guarantee anything." Renee nodded, disappointment clearly on her face. She replied, "I understand, but please, try to forgive her. She's not a bad person, just misguided." Renee left, and her comments kept coming back to me. "Elena, forgive you. Was it really feasible? Could I ever forget the damage she had done, the lies she had disseminated, the entitlement that pervaded every deed?" The weight of the choice dropped on me like a thick cloak. I yearned for the comfort of shared customs and the cohesiveness of family. But could I really appreciate the essence of the season while carrying such intense bitterness toward my own sister? I knew the response lay inside of me. I had to learn to let go of the resentment and forgive Elena for her transgressions, not for her benefit, but for mine. I could only really welcome the delight of the season and discover calm within me then. Walking near Aunt Renee's house, the clean, cold air hurt my face. With every stride, a knot of apprehension tightened in my stomach as the weight of the approaching encounter with Elena settled heavily. Though I had promised to go to the pre-Christmas meal, I felt terrible about having to face my sister, about negotiating the web of lies she had spun. The scent of roasted meats and delicious spices surrounded me as soon as I entered Renee's house. Laughter and conversation permeated the space, a consoling symphony of family warmth. Underneath the surface, though, I felt a quiet expectation of the unavoidable collision. Dad was seated by the fireside, a flutter of concern in his eyes. He grabbed for my hand, his touch a mute comfort. Always the mediator, Clara gave me a friendly grin and a light arm squeeze. But I was drawn to Renee's look, usually glittering with laughter. Her eyes were shadowed with a mix of fear and resolve. "Elena's in the kitchen," she murmured, her voice just above a whisper. "You were coming," I told her. I inhaled deeply, arming myself for the meeting. The conversation stopped as soon as I walked into the kitchen and was replaced by an awkward quiet. Elena pretended to be ignorant of my presence by standing at the counter, back to me. Her posture was straight, her shoulders tight. "Elena," I whispered gently, my voice ringing in the abrupt silence. She turned slowly, her face a mask of apathy. Well, she said with a sarcastic voice. "Look who chose to bless us with her attendance." "I came for Dad," I said coolly, without rising to her lure. And for Clara? And for you, Aunt Renee? Elena laughed scornfully. She snipped, "Spare me the sentimentality. You came solely because you felt obliged." "That's not true," I said, speaking deliberately. "I came because I want to be here, with my family." Elena laughed a harsh, grating sound. "Family? You made that rather clear when you refused to share your precious house with me. You do not regard me as family. The house is mine," I responded, raising a frustrated voice. "Dad handed it to me. It's my house, my haven. You have no right to it." Elena's gaze closed. "Oh, I have every right," she snarled. "Remember, sisters, we share the same blood. We share a history," I corrected her, "but not the same values. Elena, you have spent your life trying to take what is mine. You have never been happy for me, never supported me. All you have done is try to tear me down." Elena's cheeks turned red with wrath. She said, "You're lying. Dad gave you everything. You have always been the preferred one, the golden child." "I got nothing," I responded. "That's not true. Dad has always been there for you, Elena. He supported you financially and emotionally. He even gave you the money to start your bakery." Elena's eyes grew surprised. "He what?" she stammered. "He gave you a significant sum of money," I said, "to help you pursue your dreams. He's always believed in you, Elena, even when you didn't believe in yourself." Elena's hesitation fluttered across her face, her rage briefly forgotten. Renee grabbed the chance, feeling a change in the dynamic. "It's true, Elena," she said in a soft but forceful voice. "Your father has always loved you, always supported you. He has never favored one child over the other." Elena's shoulders dropped, her rebellion dissolving under the weight of truth. The battle appeared to sap from her, replaced by a dawning awareness of her own foolish behavior. The quiet that followed carried a lot of unspoken feelings. Regret, humiliation, and uncertainty spun about Elena like a winter storm. I watched her, my heart hurt for the sister I had lost, the sister I yearned to recover. At last mumbled, her voice like a whisper. I didn't know," I murmured gently. "I know," reaching out to touch her arm. "But Elena, it's not too late to be a family once more." Elena stared at me, hope and vulnerability mixed in her eyes. Under layers of wrath and bitterness, I glimpsed the sister I once knew in that instant, the sister I still loved. Maybe this Christmas marks a fresh start, an opportunity to mend past hurts and create a new road forward together. Unspoken words lingered thick in the air, silence broken only by the soft clinking of cutlery and the crackling fire. Elena's confession, her admittance of ignorance and misplaced wrath, had changed the atmosphere in the room. A frail hope sprang in my chest, a delicate seedling pushing across our troubled relationship's frozen ground. Ever the caregiver, Renee shattered the quiet with a gentle, pleasant voice. "Elena, sweetheart," she said, "we all make mistakes. What matters is that you've realized yours. Now, we can move forward together." Dad leaned across the table to grab Elena's hand. Tears of relief gleamed in his eyes. "I'm so glad you're here," he remarked, his voice rich with feeling. "I love you, my daughter. Never doubt that." Always the upbeat one, Clara grinned at Elena. She said, her voice full of real warmth, "We're family, and family stands together, no matter what." Tears on her face, Elena looked from one to the other with a mix of guilt and thanks. She said, "I'm so sorry," her voice strangled with feeling. "I never meant to hurt any of you. I've been so blind, so selfish." I watched her. Every second softened my heart. The resentment I had been carrying for so long started to fade and was replaced with a tsunami of compassion. I could see the suffering behind her eyes, the fragility under her stern front. I came onto the sister I had lost and yearned to recover. "It's fine, Elena," I answered gently, my voice full of pardon. "We all make mistakes. What's important is that we grow from them." Elena's lips opened to a hesitant smile, the first real smile I had seen from her in years. It was a brittle beginning, a precarious ceasefire in a protracted conflict. Still, it marked a beginning. The evening had a wary optimism as it developed. We laughed, told stories, and even shed a couple of tears. The company was consoling. The cuisine was excellent. It seemed like a real family get-together for the first time in a very long period. Elena came over to me as the evening was ending, her eyes sincere. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice just above a whisper. "Thanks for pardoning me." Relieved, I embraced her and whispered, "I forgive you, Elena," with real compassion in my voice. "And I love you. We're sisters, and we'll always be there for each other." Elena gave back the hug, tears soaking my shoulder. I realized at that instant that we had turned a bend. Though the road ahead would not be simple, we would travel it as a family. Once a cause for fear and anxiety, the holidays now promised healing and atonement. The snow kept falling, covering everything in a perfect white, a sign of fresh starts. That evening, as I made my way home, hope flooded my heart, knowing that the season had really impacted every one of us. We had recovered the ties of family that had been stressed for far too long, forgave, and regained love. Though we would face it together, stronger and more bonded than ever before, the future was unknown.